After this weekend at the retreat, I've been feeling a lot of unconditional love. It's been nice, and I think like we were talking about that protective shell that we form around our hearts. A lot of that is built up from repressed emotion throughout our lives. Like whenever we have to, when there's situations where we're not allowed to express whatever intense feelings we're having, because lots of times our society doesn't give us permission to experience negative emotions when they arise, especially sadness. Like we're not really allowed to show sadness in front of people in public. It makes people uncomfortable seeing sadness. And so, or at least for me in particular, I had a lot of repressed sadness that haven't been able to haven't like from just throughout my life. I haven't felt like I've been able to express. And so at this breathwork retreat, um, these kind of breathwork journeys or breathwork circles. Do you guys know what I'm talking about when I'm saying that? Have you experienced anything like this? Where it's like a bunch of people come together and they lie down in a circle around a center and just kind of breathe in a particular pattern for 45 minutes to an hour. So that's what I'm talking about. That's what I mean when I'm talking about one of these breathwork journeys. Um, so I've only done a couple of them so far. This was maybe, I think, the fourth time I did one when I went to this retreat. And it's a really interesting experience because for some reason, just this activity of breathing in a continuous manner, um, breathing, they often teach some kind of breathing technique where it's like a circular breath where you don't allow a pause between the inhales and the exhales. It just has the kind of the effect of taking these big, deep breaths that kind of oxygenate your blood. And for me, I get this kind of buzzing sensation that starts in my chest and then just kind of spreads throughout my body, just this physical sensation from the breathing. And then for some reason, this whole experience just creates the circumstances that allow our bodies to express repressed emotion. Like for some, I mean, it didn't happen to me the first three times I did one of these, but this time, just laying there doing this breathing, feeling these sensations come up in my body, just all of a sudden, sadness started coming out and crying started coming out, and just, but it felt like a really refreshing release of all this energy. And um, so I think that practice allowed me to clear out all this repressed emotion. And then I had this kind of unusual experience Saturday night with this another participant um, in the workshop. She happens to be a therapist and a Reiki practitioner, and we were talking about. I was talking about letting go of all the sadness, and she started kind of in on a therapy session, like talking me back to the root of my sadness and just talking back to my childhood, and that just kept bringing out more sadness. And then at one point, what she said later was a Reiki exercise. She just put her hand on my heart, and she was doing something. I don't know. I was just kind of sobbing uncontrollably at this moment, and but eventually, I just felt kind of the soothingness coming out of the center of my chest, and then kind of the sobbing stopped, and the breath just returned. And yeah, I think since it just allowed me to feel this sense of unconditional love just from the universe and from God. So yeah, it was a really profound experience.